Everybody, it is June 10, 2024. I sure hope everybody is doing well. If not, okay. If not, you're hanging in. Yeah, because things are getting rough out there. Things are getting rough in here, in the United States, and then outside of the United States. A whole lot of people are feeling it big time. Okay, so let me say hello to whomever is in right here. Alicia DeMoss, Steve Moore, Phil Strange, Justin Wynn, Sandra, Rage Against the Machine, Analog Synth Player, Julio, Agnes, Dude, Barb in Ohio, Jake M, Christy, and Sheepdog Patriot, Cecilia Amarati. Yeah, it is exhausting. Seems impossible to get in-home help. Between a rock and a hard place, very rough. Feeling demoralized and losing hope. Sorry to hear that, Cecilia. I wish I could be that angel that just brings hope to everyone. But I'm not that angel, as I'm sure you all know. So, and Mark Anthony and Amber Eyes, hello, and Julie, hello, and Carol, hello. And if I've missed anybody, hello. Radar. Oh, look at this. An inland hurricane happening, New Mexico, pushing all of the supercells into, you guessed it, Panhandle, Texas. Oh, and look at this. Look at these supercells up here in South Dakota. What that portends is severe weather. Hail, not necessarily tornadic activity, though they can produce those straight line winds and call it a tornado. Look at these frequencies. Right on the periphery of this weather front, we'll call it a weather front. A weather front not produced by Mother Nature, but you know. Yes, and look at all of these supercells manufacturing. It's a manufacturing plant down here. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Oh, into Georgia, South Carolina. Wee bit in Alabama. Then they blow them away. You got the supercells here in Florida, Central Florida. And what, pray tell, is going on here? Whoa. So, we've got this frequency that's blasting away here. Let's look at it on College of DuPage. Oh, look at this extremely low frequency right here coming out of Doppler radar up here in the, I don't want to say the location, but it's the Amarillo area of Texas. Yeah, they've got that going. And wow, look at this. Manufacturing an awful lot of rain for you here in the Lubbock area of Texas. You've got very strong supercells that I don't like to see because the strength of these babies that are being manufactured portend, possible tornadic activity. Also down here, coming out of New Mexico into Texas. And look at this line of, what is this? This is like a the replicating nanobot artificial intelligence line. Let's see if we can get a close-up on that. Look at these. You see these lines? Well, natural weather doesn't produce this. Also, the extremely low frequencies hitting these supercells. Look, now we seem to be going in several different directions. This supercell, they take out with frequencies. And this line, it's almost like a line of electricity. Look at what it does to this supercell right here. Let's slow it down so you get a better picture. So you see this whole line of nanobots crashing into this supercell, and it is twirling it about. Whoa, that was a nice, extremely low frequency shot. But you also have these lines down here, and the extremely low frequency shot. Look at that. Well, that's not what Mother Nature produces, as we all know. But you got a lot of little supercells, supercell action down here in Texas, in the state where you really don't friggin' need it. Down here in, well, an area that gets hit a lot. The Houston area, or I think this is just north of Houston. But it's, yeah. Prepare for incoming hail in this area of Texas. My God. I was watching Ryan Hall, y'all, and I have to tell you, it is kind of pisses me off. He has nearly 2 million subscribers. If he started talking about weather modification, do you think that he would lose all of those subscribers? He'd probably lose some, but no, he's just not going to do it because he doesn't have the courage. That really pisses me off. Yeah, well, let me show you what the skies have looked like here. This was 2 nights ago. Oh, that's an interesting cloud. And a not so interesting electromagnetic frequency when you see the camera going out of focus and then snap back into focus.
Wow.
That is caused by the frequencies.
Wow.
And it just happened again. Look at this. Now, some argue that this is coal fly ash. I argue that it's black carbon dust because it has the characteristics of the horizontal clouds that was talked about in a paper that well, you're going to have to go to my playlist or Rumble account for I can't even remember the name of the 4 papers that one was specific to the black carbon dust, the cheap substance put into the atmosphere to increase atmospheric heat, the horizontal cloud shape coming out of these black carbon dust. They can increase the size of clouds with black carbon dust, and a whole lot of what we see up there. But really, come on. Yeah, and can't have adult conversation about what we see in the sky, right? No, because we're just crazy lunatics. Well, I say no to that. Look at all of the nanoparticulates that are so dangerous for all life. We're breathing all of this in. This was last night. Pretty, isn't it? Yeah, very pretty. The lithium, the aluminum, the strontium, the barium. Oh, does anybody know what nanoparticulate causes the orange sky? If you do, could you throw that into the chat? I'd appreciate it. So, yeah. Look, Real Fishing Life, I'll put the link in the chat. And he shows also the NEXRAD Doppler radar control of our artificial weather system.
Good morning, freedom fighters. It is 6:53 a.m. Alaska time. We are looking at an electrical storm live here over Missouri. Wish they gave me the names of the states still. I don't know all of my states' names. There's quite a few of them. But you can kind of see how these NEXRAD radar systems are turned up and down as they create these storms and push them around. There's some unusual microwave energy that's going on over Virginia and offshore of Virginia. I want to go over. But you can really see how these storms are amplified, and you can see the direct energy beams being used. And you can see how they relax the energy in the atmosphere when they're done with it.
And the moisture evaporates. The moisture evaporates. Look at this. They blow it up. They intensify the storm. That's over. No, he's going to switch. Okay. Let's do it again. Right here, which is the... right here in Oklahoma. Watch this. Intensify, and then evaporation. Okay, so it's not lithium, by the way. No, lithium is pink. Agent Orange, no. Yeah, well, who's to know? South Denver Metro hit by heavy rain, hail, and lightning It's an everyday affair.
South Metro says their crews were first called out to a house fire around 6 o'clock in the evening. Their first 911 call came from the homeowners themselves. They said their house had been struck by lightning, and soon after, smoke filled the attic. Now, luckily, they were able to get out in time and no one was hurt. When South Metro arrived, the attic was engulfed in flames and part of the roof had collapsed. South Metro tells me it took about an hour to get that fire under control, but the location and the weather today made this one a tricky fire to fight.
Getting ground ladders to where they need to be safely, especially when the ground is really wet, it can just add some, fall hazards and things like that. So just in general, it's a hazardous incident. Certainly when firefighters arrived, we were still in the middle of a severe thunderstorm warning and a flash flood warning that were simultaneously occurring here. So yeah, kind of a hazardous afternoon for the folks here.
Now, South Metro says this is the third home just today that was hit by lightning. As for the other two homes, both of those are doing just fine. As for this home, after a few hours of fighting that fire, South Metro was able to get most of those fires out and those hot spots put out here earlier this evening. They are planning on keeping a crew out here, keeping an eye to make sure that any remaining flames and hot spots aren't able to pop up here overnight. Reporting live in Douglas County, Rachel Prowse, 9 News.
And where Rachel is, which later shattered. They think it was a rock based on the shape of the damage. Nobody got hurt, but they're pretty shaken up. Rebecca didn't want to share her name, but she says she does not believe this is an accident.
Thankfully, the windshield withheld the impact.
Well, I don't know. So they just jumped into crime, I guess. Okay, silvery is the aluminum. Lithium is the pink. So, iron oxide, nitrogen dioxide, possibly. Don't know, but look at the size of the hail that fell in Texas. The size of a small pineapple. All right, that's gonna hurt when that comes down. Tornado Alley appears to be expanding. It appears to be expanding as deadly storms hit the United States. It's been expanding in the recent years. But you're just a reader. You're not a reporter. You're a reader. You get a lot of money to just read the script that is handed to you. It pisses me off. That is my coffee maker.
To a concerning number of tornadoes. More than 500 have been spotted in the U.S. since April. And there's new evidence tonight that Tornado Alley may be expanding beyond the Midwest. CBS's Dave Malkoff shows us why.
April 2nd, 2024, an EF1 tornado sliced the roof off a funeral home in Sunbright, Tennessee. Noah and Lexi Hamby were next door outside.
We was probably about right here is when it hit us.
He was carrying their 4-year-old. She had their baby in her arms.
I mean, it literally swooped me up off my feet with the baby in my hands. He had me by the hood of my jacket, was like choking me.
Yeah, if she wasn't wearing a hoodie, she'd been gone.
They were trying to find a basement to take cover in a part of the country that's not used to tornadoes. The most likely place in the world for a tornado is right here in Tornado Alley. In fact, look at the 1950s. You can see a clear line right through the center of the country.
Well, we're not in the 1950s anymore, and weather modification has literally put Mother Nature to rest. So tornadoes can happen anywhere. Anywhere they want to bring them, they're going to bring them. And here, this is... Now I can't remember. I don't like that, and I really should be writing this down. Okay, Spokane, Washington area. Listen to this fire. This was quite the fire of a police department, police building.
An absolutely devastating fire here in Coeur d'Alene. This building behind me that used to once hold Coeur d'Alene Police's equipment, IT department, and SWAT vehicles is now a total loss.
It's a huge loss for our employees, for the citizens of Coeur d'Alene.
That's Coeur d'Alene Deputy Fire Marshal Craig Etherton's reaction to Sunday's early morning fire that destroyed a Coeur d'Alene police building. The site hits Etherton especially hard.
As firefighters, we see as part of our job, right? But it definitely hits home when it's someone you know.
The fire department shares the same complex as Coeur d'Alene police. Even though the fire department's right next door, the fire proved to be too much for firefighters.
And the fire was really large when the crews got back here, so it went, for the most part, it was defensive operation the whole time.
The fire destroyed a Coeur d'Alene police ancillary building housing code enforcement, animal control, and the police department's IT division. The building also held police equipment, including a SWAT vehicle and an incident command trailer. Coeur d'Alene Police Captain Dave Hager spoke to KREM 2 over the phone.
What's somewhat shocking, this building that services a lot of our special needs was completely engulfed in flames.
While no one was hurt, Hager suspects the fire caused millions of dollars in damages.
It's very rare to suffer a fire to take out as many resources as this did.
Fortunately, Hager says this shouldn't impact public safety.
We have partnerships with the law enforcement community and contingencies in place. We're working behind the scenes to make sure that it's seamless.
Etherton said the cause of fire is under investigation. The Idaho State Fire Marshal's leading the investigation.
Coeur d'Alene police tell me they don't have a time.
Is this in Idaho? Okay, well, isn't this odd? Doesn't this sound almost like a terrorist attack? This is on a building with a SWAT truck and vehicles and IT and all of those departments that just went up in such a fierce fire that the fire department couldn't get control of it. The fire department that's right next door. Okay. Seems a little suspicious to me. Boat fire in Lake Tahoe.
And developing it tonight, the U.S. Coast Guard says 6 people were rescued from a fire on board a boat off the North Lake Tahoe shore. Meteorologist Jeff Martinez was near Carnelian Bay around 2 this afternoon when he says he saw some smoke from the beach. He took the drone out and saw this boat engulfed in the flames, and the Coast Guard.
We don't get to have any causes, right? Cause under investigation. But look at this, 15 boats destroyed and docks damaged at Lake Mead. This is Lake Mead. Does it go into Nevada or is it California only?
It's terrible. Now our dock's on fire.
Yep.
About 15 boats on 2 docks were damaged or destroyed in a fire at the Lake Mead Marina over the weekend, according to the National Park Service.
Oh, it spread it like within minutes. It was like a rapid boat to boat to boat to boat, and then the sea dunes traveled across the lake and burnt some more boats on our dock.
Michael Warren was working security at the Las Vegas Boat Harbor when the fire sparked around 12:30 a.m. Sunday.
A resident came to me and told me that she was seeing smoke coming out of her boat. She was frantic, in distress, wanted to know if we can put the fire out.
He says they could see the fire under the woman's houseboat and used 3 full fire extinguishers to try to fight it. But the flames and winds were too strong.
We tried our best to put the fire out, but we couldn't. It just consumed the whole boat and spread it throughout the other boats.
Officials say multiple agencies responded to the fire and it took hours to contain it.
Look how hot that fire is. Look how hot the fire is. These white flames. That is very, 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 very hot. And so when I see this, I have to wonder, is it all of the aluminum nanoparticulates that they have dumped into the atmosphere that have fallen over everything, making everything far more incendiary? 15 boats go up in flames pretty much at the same time? I don't know. I just... Another suspicious event. Thousands of Southwest Florida condos for sale as owners face rising assessments and insurance costs. Look, You have a home? I hope you are ready to lose it. I hope that you've done, some work to prepare yourself to lose your home. Because it's coming. I'm sorry to say. A whole lot of people, because of the assessments and then the property taxes that they are inflicting on people, and people can't afford it. And then people try to sell, and nobody wants to buy it because they realize, whoa, it is wickedly, wickedly expensive. And in Florida, they're going to get rid of everyone. Florida is going to be really just for those wonderful people that we bow down to. Yes, those elite, the scum of the earth.
Owners in Southwest Florida are facing thousands of dollars in assessments, and some can't afford it.
There's a rush of people now putting their condos up for sale, and buyers seem to be shying away. NBC2's Dave Elias, who covers the insurance industry for us, is finding out what led up to this latest crisis.
Well, we've told you about the insurance crisis, but now there is a condo crisis brewing. In fact, more condos on the market right now in Florida than there have been in years. A couple of reasons. Places like the Foxmoor Lakes here in North Fort Myers are seeing special assessments added to their already high-priced insurance.
We just got an assessment for $2,450. It's a one-time assessment. It's due in August.
Kristen Moose and her neighbors now scrambling to come up with the extra cash.
It's very difficult because we didn't budget for this. We just paid, at the beginning of the year, we paid about $2,000 for flood insurance. And now we're hit with this assessment.
According to Realtors listings, more than 6,500 condos are on the market right now in just Lee and Collier counties, and more being added each day.
I hear from everybody, I can't afford it. I'm not going to be able to afford it in another year. And what happens if we get hit again?
This condo's been on the market more than 6 months.
We have about 1,000 additional condos compared to this time last year.
Realtor Claudia Springay says that the condo owner forced to reduce the price below $180,000.
But also I think it has to do with association fees. They have increased somewhere between 20 and 25% on average.
And new state laws also require condo associations to be fully funded in case of disaster.
A lot of these communities had assessments, and people have become very nervous about the fact that they're going to buy a condo and they're going to get hit with another assessment. Or there's pending assessments, and sometimes what happens is those assessments go on to the new buyer.
Potentially forcing more people to try and sell in a market that's become overly saturated. Now, while these special assessments can be on average of a couple $1,000s, realty experts tell me that in some of the more pricey areas, they're seeing special assessments upwards of tens of thousands of dollars. In North Fort Myers, Dave Elias.
Okay, well, we all know that they are bringing about deliberate destruction. Man, oh man, oh man. Okay, I posted this on my Never Lose Truth channel. The American College of Pediatricians just put out a statement calling out all the major medical associations by name for pushing the gender transition craze on kids. So you may have seen it on my Never Lose Truth channel, but I'm going to play it one more time because so many people need to hear it and need to circulate this information, because it is every adult's responsibility to protect children, and we are failing at that.
And we have serious concerns about the physical and mental health effects of the current protocols promoted for the care of children and adolescents in the United States who express discomfort with their biological sex. This declaration was authored by the American College of Pediatricians, but really it was developed from the expertise of hundreds of doctors, researchers, and other healthcare workers and leaders who, for years, have been sounding the alarm on the harmful protocols that continue to be promoted by the medical organizations in the United States. Despite recent revelations from the leaked WPATH files and the recent release of the final report from the CAS review, these medical organizations have not changed course. So we are calling on these medical organizations of the United States, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry to follow the science and their European colleagues and immediately stop the promotion of social affirmation, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex. In our declaration, we affirm that sex is a dimorphic, innate trait defined in relation to an organism's biological role in reproduction, male and female. This genetic signature is present in every nucleated somatic cell in the body and is not altered by drugs or surgical interventions. Consideration of these innate differences is critical to the practice of good medicine and to the development of sound policy for children and adults alike. Medical decision-making should be based upon an individual's biological sex. It should respect biological reality and the dignity of the person by compassionately addressing the whole person. We are here defying the claims made by these medical organizations in the US that those of us who are concerned are a minority and that their protocols are consensus. They are not consensus, and we are speaking in a loud, unified voice, enough.
Wow. Well, I'll post the link. Doctors Protecting Children. Teens face 10 years in jail. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Washington. State of Washington. Listen to this, Dan Dix. Scary what's happening. Where are the adults today?
Where those of us who are just simply trying to live our lives are bombarded by LGBT propaganda for the entire month of June. It's almost becoming impossible to avoid it at this point, although some people are trying a little harder than others. In Spokane, Washington, 3 teenagers rode their scooters across a crosswalk that had state-sponsored gender ideology symbols all over it, and the sheer sight of them leaving some skid marks on the road led some locals to call the police for what they viewed as a hate crime.
I just saw this group of teenagers deliberately making marks and scratch marks with their Lime scooters, just all around.
Several witnesses confronted the group and called police.
We're not going to sit by as we watch people deliberately commit a hate crime.
Holy shit. Oh my God, do we have sick people. This woman is sick. I'm sorry. She needs years and years and years of lying on a couch, being analyzed. Get some therapy. Get some therapy. These kids were just using their scooter. You didn't see them, intentionally leave skid marks. But people are sick of this. They're sick of it. Don't claim that somebody's hateful because they're sick of one particular group that is a small minority of the population getting all of the attention. Yay, look at me. Who gives a shit who you sleep with? Who gives a shit whether you want to change your sex? I don't. Everybody that I've spoken to, they don't. They just don't want it to be saturated with it. It's like imposing your lifestyle on everyone else. And we have to stand at attention for all of you. God, I am so sick of this. But kids, teenagers, facing 10 years in jail? And you call them hateful? Holy shit.
Like right in the middle of downtown.
After looking at security footage, officers arrested 3 teenagers. 2 are minors, and 1 is 19-year-old Ruslan Turco.
You are charged with 1 count malicious mischief.
Turco had his first appearance in court this afternoon. The judge released him under the condition he doesn't go near the crosswalk or the other teenagers. Prosecutors, though, had asked the judge to set a $15,000 bond since that's how much it costs to repaint the mural.
The community really came together to raise the money for them to be able to do it before the parade on Saturday.
Now this vandalism, just hours after someone else set fire to the mural.
It sucks to be reminded in moments like this that there are still people out there that, have hate in their hearts for other people.
No, people are just sick. Sick of your type. Sick of you slamming it in everybody's faces, making them submit to your way of living. Get those things off the road if you don't want skid marks on them. Jesus. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes you just get really fed up.
So, yeah.
The teenagers in question are now facing a potential sentence of 10 years in jail over this. 3 Washington teens are facing 10 years in jail after making skid marks on LGBT Rainbow Road mural while riding e-scooters. 19-year-old Ruslan V.V. Turco and 2 unnamed minors were arrested on Wednesday for first-degree malicious mischief after vandalizing the Rainbow Pride mural that sits in front of Riverfront Park located in Spokane, Washington. But isn't it interesting and rather revealing that the teens on the left were charged with a felony hate crime, while the ones on the right protesting to free Palestine are not arrested, with their speech being protected, while they very openly vandalize a public monument. Delray Beach hosted an LGBTQ+ ceremony on Saturday to unveil the newly repainted mural. But it didn't take long for new tire marks to show up all over this massive monstrosity. If the Alphabet Mafia doesn't want their sexualized political flag to get wheel marks on it, maybe they shouldn't put it on the road. Old Town Alexandria has painted trans pride flag symbols on the streets in place of crosswalks, effectively forcing citizens to walk across state-sponsored gender ideology symbols. The Alexandria City Council quietly voted to permanently install them a year ago. And just when you thought this wasn't bad enough, we are now going to enter into the Orwellian realm, where Lime, the company who makes these scooters, are enacting no-go zones to protect these gay pride crosswalks. Lime, the company who owns the scooters, enacts no-go zone around Pride Crosswalk in Washington after vandalism. And according to their website, under no-go zones, Lime vehicles aren't authorized to travel in no-go zones. On the map, these areas are indicated by red shading and a restricted symbol. If you enter a no-go zone, your vehicle will gradually come to a stop. You must walk your vehicle out of the no-go zone to resume your ride. You want to talk about no-go zones? This should be a no-go zone for kids, as well as this and this, all of which should be illegal. But no, for the entire month of June, we're supposed to celebrate this debauchery. And if you don't, according to them, you're just a homophobe bigot. Well, if that's the case, sign me up. Call me whatever you want. I don't even care anymore. We are now to the point where we absolutely have to call out this BS for what it is. I wonder what would happen if we painted a crosswalk with this flag. I'm pretty sure no one would mind if a few teenagers practiced their burnouts on it. So what do you...
Look, there's a difference between the traditional, classic, the sane gay, lesbian, transgender community and what we've got going. This agenda that is purposeful. That has nothing to do with homosexuality, actually. It has nothing to do with it. You know that this is an agenda. It's purposefully driven, and there's many reasons But the destruction of children, that's where I draw the line. You want to be, parading around, you're just going to have to deal with people who don't want to see the parades. They're not hateful. They just don't want it in their face constantly, which is, we somehow demarcated the entire month of June. Come on. But it's not the entire month of June. It's all year long. It's kind of like Black Lives Matter. Had nothing to do with the Black American community. No. It had an awful lot to do with the intentional, we're going to whip up all of the race hatred. We're going to whip up all of the racists. We're going to get everybody at one another's throats. It had nothing to do. Black Lives Matter, that organization, brings in millions and millions and millions of dollars. None of it went to help the Black community. So you got to separate out from that category of people the sane ones, like Gays Against Groomers, who are working very hard to stop all of this, because the backlash on the sane gay and lesbians who just want to live their life like everyone else, but no, because of this agenda, now they're getting an awful lot of backlash. And we don't want to give the sane ones the backlash. We want to support them in their efforts to stop this. Wow, man, our life, it's getting rough out there. 82-year-old says thieves have repeatedly targeted him.
This is a new trailer he bought. He's been beaten. He's been robbed of thousands of dollars, and he's tried everything. Mr. Rogers in Midwest City says his neighborhood just isn't safe anymore.
I've had everything stolen, so all the time.
Jimmy Rogers has been saving up thousands of dollars for his funeral, so his kids won't have to pay.
Why is it important to you to have your kids not have to pay for any of this?
I wouldn't ask them to do nothing.
He earns money through manual labor, but working odd jobs at 82 years old, it's not easy.
Monday through Monday.
What's worse, thieves have stolen just about everything from him. Monday at 4 a.m, he says someone drove off with his work trailer, his riding lawnmower, all chained to his tree.
How long have you had this tree for? As long as you've had the house?
I cut it before I even moved in this house.
Not too long ago, he says they broke into his home, stole a safe with medications in it. At one point, thieves even snapped his camera cords. This is where the thieves took off with his trailer. It was chained to the tree, uprooting it altogether. At one point, Mr. Rogers said the thieves came to his door. When he opened it up, they punched him in the face, sending him to the hospital.
Busted my lip, my side of my face.
How much do you think you've been out?
$20,000.
His friend Deanna has been taking him to the police, trying to get him help.
He's a good man. Strong man.
For Rogers, the work doesn't stop. Thousands more dollars are needed to put back into his savings.
Put him in his resting place. And that's what breaks my heart for him, because that's the main reason he's been saving his money.
In Midwest City, Dylan Brown, Oklahoma's News 4.
Doesn't seem to be very many safe places anymore. Lake County Summer Festival shut down. How many festivals and events and have I been showing on the live streams? Shut them down. No longer can you bring your kids to have any fun. No longer can you have any fun, going to the beach or to a park for a picnic. They're closing down everything. Crime is used to control people.
Violence breaking out at summer festivals across Northeast Ohio. Just this weekend, 2 people were arrested for having guns on fairgrounds. Brittany Weir shares more.
Summer festivals mean games, rides, and tasty treats. A place you should be able to enjoy with your family.
It's truly about community, embracing the community, bringing people together.
However, over the weekend, police were called to multiple gatherings to break up violence.
It's very saddening, disappointing that something so family-oriented and so fun takes an incident like this.
Rory Lau, who is one of the co-chairs at St. Gabriel's Parish in Concord Township, is talking about the church's Summer Festival, an event that her and her husband have been putting on for about 17 years. That is why she was so disappointed to see fights breaking out near the ride section.
As the evening went on, the crowds got more dense with a lot of young adults or adolescents. And those adolescents started picking fights, and one led to another. Sheriffs got involved immediately.
According to the Lake County Sheriff's Office, who was already on scene to provide security for the festival, deputies responded to numerous altercations that led to the arrest of 4 juveniles. One of the arrests involved the possession of a firearm. Out of an abundance of caution, sadly, the decision was ultimately made to shut down the ride section for the remainder of the festival.
Yeah, I really have to wonder if they're paying these kids to come together in a mob and create this kind of chaos. Or is it just electromagnetic frequencies that they can use? They don't have to pay them. Just hit them with the frequencies and cause riotous behavior and terrifying. $500,000 armed robbery caught on camera at LA jewelry store. Okay, so are you getting that this is really ramping up? I hope you're getting it, because you need to be very aware of your surroundings, especially if you're in a city.
Violent robbery caught on video. 3 armed criminals beat down a security guard at a downtown LA jewelry store. The store's owner fighting back, trying to stop the onslaught. The men drew guns at store employees but did not fire during the brief but violent encounter. The trio getting away with an unknown haul of jewelry.
Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo joining us now live with reaction from employees who had to live through this traumatic experience.
Jory Michelle, one of the owners of that jewelry store, said this was like an out-of-body experience. He says he was pumping with adrenaline at the time when this robbery happened. When he watched back this security video you see over my shoulder, he doesn't remember doing half the things he did, like when he casually pushed away a gun that was pointed right at him.
The screams of sheer terror started immediately. Everyone was caught off guard. But it was clear once the masked men put a gun to the security guard's head, this was a robbery. One of the 3 men wrestled the guard to the ground, and the other 2 set their sights on the safe at Hill Street Jewelry in downtown LA, yelling at the employees as they ran in.
Don't do anything stupid, that's what they said.
Owner Pirooz Shirazi didn't exactly take that advice, pushing back, even as one of the thieves repeatedly raised his gun to Shirazi's face.
Imagine you have a gun right in front of you.
Your heart knows what it wants.
Are you
so do your taste buds.
Oh,
Fall in love with the new Häagen-Dazs chocolate cookie crumble bar.
Pisses me off. Yeah. All right, 6 arrested after another South Jersey event disrupted by unruly crowds. My Lord, this is happening all over.
Another weekend, another community event in Camden County disrupted, according to police in South Jersey. They say 6 people were arrested at a summer kickoff event in Pennsauken. Large and unruly crowds started to form, causing organizers to shut the event down early. Here's our Kelly Rule.
Police said in a statement this type of unruly behavior is not acceptable and will not be tolerated in Pennsauken Township, but they have not confirmed if they believe this involved the same groups as Gloucester Township last weekend. We spoke with several people today that say they've attended this event for years and this never happened.
Everything was relaxed vibe until all of a sudden it wasn't.
Red's Rolling Restaurant leaves the soccer complex on Bethel Avenue Saturday after a successful day that had a frustrating ending for owner and proud Pennsauken local Megan Hilbert.
It's scary, honestly. Like, I make my living at events, that's what we do. And for this stuff to go on, not only will it affect community pride and togetherness, but also the small businesses.
Pennsauken Township police say multiple large crowds started to form outside of the community members that were trying to enjoy the event, and they started to become unruly. Other departments responded to help clear out the crowds. Police say they arrested 4 adults between 18 and 20 years old and 2 juveniles.
And we were stopped by the EMT people saying that you guys can't come in. There's a big commotion going on. 200 kids, give or take, were fighting each other. It was ridiculous. But it's a shame, because every single year it's a phenomenal show. And for some bunch of nonsense teenagers to ruin it.
The Wawa on 130 also reportedly closed temporarily due to the crowds clearing the park. It comes 1 week after Gloucester Township police say they made arrests after a group of hundreds of young people wreaked havoc at the end of Gloucester Township Day, violently fighting and refusing to listen or leave. Hilbert says she was warned about those crowds coming to summer kickoff.
I completely swept it under the rug because I attend Pennsauken events all the time with the food trucks as a personal, community member, and it's nothing ever happens like that. This does not represent Pennsauken and who we are.
Wow. Yeah, crime used to control people. And the control is very detrimental to an awful lot of people. Looters break into AutoZone following street takeover in LA.
Police in South LA are looking for more suspects in a raid at an auto parts store. Dozens of people ransacked the place, but authorities did manage to catch one. KTLA's Gene Kang at the scene this morning with the latest. Gene, good morning.
Good morning, Megan. There are many moving parts, you could say, in this story. Detectives just left the scene. They were here for hours. They were fingerprinting and, of course, gathering other evidence. There is security video that they were looking at to try and identify who those dozens of people were accused of being in that mob and then also forcing their way into this AutoZone store in South Los Angeles. Just a lot of devastation that the employees have to clean up this morning. Watch this. So much chaos. Police report about 50 people broke into the store earlier this morning. They ransacked the place, causing mayhem, accused of stealing auto parts and then taking off. By the time officers arrived, the large group had scattered, making it very difficult to apprehend anyone on the spot. Then there's this video. Around 3:50 a.m., LAPD received 911 calls about a street takeover very close by. That was Century Boulevard and Hoover Street here in South Los Angeles. Officers quickly called for backup as the situation escalated. Now, we don't have video of the next incident, but officers tell us one driver refused to stop for police, leading to a brief but intense pursuit. CHP got involved at one point. The pursuit ended up in El Segundo, where it was by Pepper Street and Sycamore Avenue. One suspect was finally arrested. And then there's this new video. Police are dusting the front door of the AutoZone for fingerprints while they try to identify people by looking over their surveillance video of that burglary. We spoke to a former employee who says he saw the street takeover and dozens of people snatch whatever they possibly could from the store, possibly thousands of dollars in merchandise, plus residents nearby who say it's unsafe here with criminal activity on the rise.
But this time it was more hectic. They were taking over there, I couldn't exactly what they're saying, but I just seen a whole bunch of people started rushing in there and just started breaking in and taking a whole bunch of stuff, and it was just crazy.
And the street takeover right here is just ridiculous, man. Like every 2 days, it's an accident right here.
But this my AutoZone. This my hood. This my area. I live in this area, so I frequent this AutoZone.
And what goes through your head when you hear it's ransacked and there's a large mob?
Man, it's just crazy. It seems like it's just getting worse.
Well, it is getting worse. It, for sure, is getting worse. And defund the police. Ah, yes. A whole lot of that. It's the ripple effects. New details released into murder-suicide, Southwest Miami-Dade. A whole lot of people, telling you, on a daily basis, are getting murdered, shot, and children as well.
Tonight at 11, it's a story that has shocked South Florida. A mother and her child shot and killed outside a bank in southwest Miami-Dade.
The child was only 4 years old. Both were waiting at a drive-through ATM when the shooter pulled up next to their van and opened fire. The victim's family says the shooter was the woman's estranged boyfriend. Good evening. I'm Jim Berry, in tonight for Elliot Rodriguez.
And I'm Lauren Pastrana. This is the second consecutive day a murder-suicide has rocked our community. CBS News Miami's Larry Seward has the latest on this tragedy.
Someone left balloons inside the crime scene behind me there on top of the ATM where authorities found that child and his mother dead. Late this evening, another woman who does not know the family, she dropped off these flowers and this stuffed animal, a symbol of the grief affecting friends, family, and strangers. Odalis Bancroft and her 4-year-old son, Theodore Cotto, were on their way to Theodore's preschool. Just days from the child's pre-K graduation, Bancroft stopped at this ATM. Relatives say she called Theodore's father, telling him she was getting cash to buy gifts for Theodore's teachers. What happened next took away this man's son, the mother of his child, and left him and loved ones paralyzed with grief. Off camera, loved ones say there are no words to describe their pain.
He was a very good person. He was like good person.
As Bancroft sat at the ATM, witnesses saw this silver BMW pull up at the drive-thru next to Odalis's van. Moments later,
I heard a lot of gunshots and I tried to seek cover.
Gunfire caught the attention of a Miami-Dade police sergeant nearby. Investigators say the shooter killed Odalis and Theodore, who was still in his child car seat. Police say the shooter then killed himself.
It makes every parent worry for their children's safety.
Detectives did not identify the shooter except to say he was 41 years old. The child's family says the shooter was Bancroft's estranged boyfriend. Though she and her son lived alone, neighbor Armando Serrano saw police at their home twice in the past few weeks, but did not know why.
I knew about this shooting, but I didn't know he was involved in this.
Bancroft was a nurse at Jackson Health System. She spent 9 years there, working her way into management, directing regulatory affairs. The company's CEO sent employees this memo Friday informing them of Bancroft's death. Quote, Odalis believed deeply in the work we do and never shied away from showing off her Jackson pride, he says. Jackson is better because of Odalis and the indelible mark she made on our organization. Our thoughts are with her family and loved ones during this difficult time. It is a murder-suicide with an unknown motive that detectives plan to find out.
Oh, it's getting rough out there. 23-year-old woman murdered her 3 roommates and is now on the run.
Now out of Spotsylvania County, Virginia, that's where police are searching for a woman wanted for murdering her 3 roommates. Right now, she is still on the run.
So this is 23-year-old Alyssa Jane Venable. They think she's responsible for killing 2 men and a woman yesterday.
Our Leslie Moreno is live in Spotsylvania County with more on what we know at this hour. Leslie.
Well, guys, it all happened here behind me along this road here. It's still unclear which home exactly. This is White Street Court. One neighbor I spoke with says it was a chaotic night last night. Take a look at your screen here. This is a woman police are looking for. This is 23-year-old Alyssa Jane Venable. At about 10 o'clock last night, deputies from the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office were called out here to White Street Court for a welfare check. When deputies entered the home, they found 3 people dead, 2 men and a woman, all roommates were told. That's why Spotsylvania County deputies are looking to track down Alyssa Jane Venable. They say Alyssa is currently wanted for second-degree murder and use of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
You know, this happens when there's an awful lot of people who have they've become so desensitized to violence and they don't value life. We're not brought up to value life. Not here in the United States. We're brought up to be a material success. And that has ripple effects that we are now living all the time. And it's only getting worse. You know, a demoralized people, a desensitized people, people that don't value life, people that don't even respect other people. Apparently, it seems quite easy for people to just kill. Just kill them. But we're seeing a lot of murder-suicides. You know, couples, boyfriend, you know, shooting mother and the child, and okay, then they shoot themselves or they don't, or roommates, all right? A lot of children killing their parents. It is so already out of control. So I hope you don't get desensitized to all of this. When you begin to see this and you're just making jokes and doesn't matter to you, that means something has affected your humanity, and you need to take a look at that. Was this too aggressive for a parking, not a traffic, parking violation?
Hello. Just want to let you know that the trailer is legally parked.
Oh. So I can go park anywhere in the cul-de-sac the way he's parked?
The way he's parked is legal. The way you were parked when I showed up was not. So I need to see your driver's license so I can issue a citation for blocking the roadway.
I didn't block the roadway.
Yes, you did. I saw you when you... Listen. Hey. I'm investigating a traffic crime. You do not have the right to do that. You are detained. You are detained.
Come in my house.
You are detained.
For what?
For the traffic violation I observed. I need to see your license.
You're detaining me for a traffic violation.
Yes, I am. Open the door.
You're detained.
Come here. You are under arrest. You are
All
under arrest.
5 of you.
Yep, you are under arrest.
All 5 of you. Hey!
You got a bench?
Hey! Let me go! Hey!
One second. You are under arrest. Quit resisting.
Not resisting!
Give me your arm.
Good Lord! Hey, guys. Oh, my goodness. Don't break my...
Well, then... Quit resisting. Quit resisting.
I'm not... Ow!
You are actively resisting against me.
I am not... Holy...
Now you're under arrest for resisting arrest, obstruction, and a parking violation.
Okay.
All right, don't move so I can get these locked.
I never resisted you to begin with.
Yes, you did.
All 5 of you hit me.
It's all on body cam, sir.
Yes, it is.
All right, we're going to get you rolled over.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. Let's stand yet.
All right. Wait.
A parking violation? Don't know what to say. Neighbors despair as homeless vehicles persist on Portland Southeast 94th Avenue. All right. The homeless. And I understand. I would not want to own a home or rent a home and walk out and see what's happening. This is only going to get a whole lot worse. And more members of communities are going to be kind of taken over by homeless, especially in cities.
They've had enough. They live along Southeast 94th Avenue in Portland, and they've watched a line of homeless vehicles come and go for years. Now they're worried about their safety. K2's Steve Dunn has tonight's City in Crisis Finding Solutions report.
Drive down Southeast 94th Avenue right now, and this is what you'll see. A street lined with homeless vehicles. But it's something neighbors have been seeing on and off for years. The vehicles are no more than 100 feet from their front door.
It's wretched. It is awful. Between noise and smell and the general level of danger, it's a difficult spot to be in.
None of the neighbors would appear on camera, fearing for their safety. This man has 2 young girls and says they watch drug dealing out their window daily.
We have issues with human waste and drug paraphernalia in our yard, in our neighbor's yard. Our kids can't play out front. There's a general level of danger pretty much at all times.
And he says many of the people living in the vehicles carry weapons.
They display them I see machetes and bats hanging out of backpacks and off their belts and whatnot.
They congregate out here a lot of times.
Another neighbor has found people passed out in her yard and has witnessed numerous fires from propane tank explosions.
I was just sitting at the dining room table reading the paper, and all of a sudden the house and the window shut.
She fears retribution if she appears on camera and says the city she grew up in has turned into a dump, blaming a city council that she says isn't doing anything to help.
They do these little see me type actions, but it doesn't get the people off the streets. I don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. Nobody has an answer. That's the problem. But they continue to give these people handouts instead of hand-ups.
We wanted to talk to some of the people living in the vehicles and found Steve Worley, who says he's been in this spot for a month and a half. He said he's already scouting out his next street to park and that the neighbors have nothing to worry about, at least with him.
Most of us are just trying to get by. I mean, you know, we're not, like, I've been clean and sober for 30 years. And the group of us four back here, we're all sober. I'm not sober. I do drink, but as far as drugs go, like I say.
Wait a second. I've been clean and sober for 30 years. Well, not sober. I drink. Okay. Gotta wonder about people, but we're a mess. We are a mess now. We are a mess. We are a mess. Somebody has to write a song. We are a mess. We are the messers. California right-wing store triggers liberals. All right, so I want to say this before I play it. That if I were walking past this store and I stopped because I saw a lot of conservative Trump stuff and I was looking in the window, I would roll my eyes and keep walking. And the owner of the store, or anybody seeing me, would think that I was a liberal and that I was triggered by it. No. So the presumption of some of the people who are walking past this store, you don't know. I mean, I would think that a lot, because a lot are still stuck in the matrix, and it's California, so yeah, you got to figure there's a lot of liberal Democrats who get triggered by, oh my God, MAGA, Trump. But that wouldn't be me, right? If I post something about Trump, the presumptions that people make that I'm for Biden. Okay, so there are people who have exited the matrix, looked in, observed, did the research, found out, oh, we don't have two parties. Okie dokie. So, but yeah, people, man, whew, they get very upset when you don't agree with everything that, is of their thinking. Americans we truly have not grown up. On the whole, I don't know you, okay? But the immaturity in our country, the offense taken by the smallest thing is really remarkable. But it creates division, it creates a whole lot of social chaos, and it breaks down relationships, and voila, here we are.
Where's the Biden flags? Where's the Biden flags?
Definitely not in this store.
Huh?
Definitely not in this store. Biden flags.
Did I ask for one?
Yeah.
Being funny. Oh, we do? We have the one that says fuck Biden.
Oh yeah, we do have one. I forgot.
Come back. I found your Biden flag. You're promoting Trump?
Yeah, so better than Biden.
Really?
Well, I think so.
I think.
You think Biden's good? If you support Biden, you are insane. Those people have lost their minds. Think about it. All they want to do is touch kids. All they want to do is cut off their peckers. I have a business that I have to do.
You have a business in my town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's my town too. I live here too.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I do.
We
I
have
live here on
pockets
Main
like
Street.
you?
Yes. Oh, and I'm very liked on Main Street. And I'm very liked within the community.
Every now and then, I like to go back and watch reactions in the window. So let's do one together. Here we go. This guy's out for his morning jog. Let's see. Do you think he's on our side or is he liberal? Let's see. No, the head shake. There it goes. He's not with us, people. He's not with us. He just fucked his morning jog up. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, bro. There's like 5 things to read. Shit, it doesn't take that long. Don't worry, they come back. Here we go. Hang on. This is how you know they're irritated when they come back. Oh, look, it's Frodo in a stroller. He's even talking to his kid about this. The kid's scratching his head like, bro, what's the deal?
I don't know. I get, I've seen this now. I watched it once. Now I'm watching it again. And I get pissed, It's kind of like there's a purposefulness that I'm sensing to really get at people. And for sure, on the red-blue, in the red-blue arena, sports arena, where they just go after one another's jugular, it's, I don't think that is helpful. But who am I? Terrifying, multiple injuries after bull jumps into crowd at an Oregon rodeo. I think the 4-legged animals are getting really sick and tired of being used by humans for their entertainment.
And into the crowd. Many people in the crowd capturing the shocking incident on cell phone video. A warning, we should mention that some may find it upsetting.
A terrifying scene at a packed rodeo in Sisters, Oregon over the weekend. It happened during the final event of the night in front of a crowd of thousands. That's when a full-size bull nicknamed Party Bus jumped over a fence, instantly causing chaos in the stands. Danielle Smithers took this video.
I was panicked knowing that now this giant animal is out there.
The bull storming into a concession area, striking some in the crowd, knocking over a garbage can and sending terrified patrons scrambling.
We had a bull loose. We have one down.
The bull then flipped an unsuspecting woman several feet into the air. You can see her tumbling head over heels before slamming into the ground. 5 people sustained injuries, according to the Cloverdale Fire Department, although amazingly they say none were life-threatening. The Sisters Rodeo Association issuing a statement saying, in part, the rodeo announcer immediately activated the emergency response plan, adding that rodeo livestock professionals quickly responded to safely contain the bull.
He wasn't loose for more than, I would say, 25 to 30 seconds. He actually ran through a gate that was at the end of the arena and he went right back to where the rest of the bulls were kept.
Yeah, well, don't know what to say. You can't inspire people to do what's right. And no, I don't go along with all of these rodeos and all of the crap that humans do to animals. I just don't. But Steve Anderson, oh yeah. I used to have friends, quit drinking alcohol, then all of a sudden the friends I had disappeared. It was like a Houdini magic trick taking place. Yes. You find out when you quit drinking that your friends were really just drinking buddies. Martha's Vineyard is about to run out of pot. It's led to a lawsuit. This seems a little bizarre. So, apparently, Martha's Vineyard running. I had highlighted this. What is going on? My highlighting is gone. So, an 81-year-old woman of Martha's Vineyard drove up to the Island Time dispensary last week seeking her usual order of pot, but owner Jeff Rose had to tell her that the cupboard was bare. He had been forced to temporarily close 3 weeks earlier after selling every last bud and gummy bear, pot gummy bear. This has to do, the problem boils down to location. Although Massachusetts voters opted to legalize marijuana more than 7 years ago, the state's Cannabis Control Commission has taken the position that transporting pot across the ocean, whether by boat or plane, risks running afoul of federal laws. That's despite a counter-argument that there are routes to Martha's Vineyard that remain entirely within state territorial waters. What are you doing, Massachusetts, man? That's just ridiculous. And it's not like Martha's Vineyard is so far off the coast of Massachusetts, it ain't. Oh, government officials, man. Don't you wish that we were just living life in accordance with natural law? No, we can't do that. Gotta have people controlling us at all times. Pharmacists cite highest number of drug shortages since 2001. Oh, we're looking at a really crazy time. 323 drug shortages, and some of those shortages here, the drugs in short supply, include chemotherapy agents, antibiotics, medications for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and pain medications. So, people who aren't getting their speed, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, people who aren't getting, their Quaaludes, pain medication, when we see these shortages getting worse and worse, people are you're going to see people flipping out. Because the withdrawal from psychiatric medications, whoa, you're going to see people really sick, very angry. Oh. And we have millions and millions and millions hooked on them. Thousands locked out of bank accounts? What is going on? Nothing seems to work anymore. Nothing seems to be working consistently anymore.
Thousands are locked out of their financial accounts. Here's Faye Fredericks with our Let ABC 15 Know team. Banking accounts of tens of thousands of consumers and businesses have been frozen for weeks. At the center is the financial technology company Synapse. It acts as the middleman between financial technology companies and banks. But when Synapse filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in April, it shut down its services to some of its partners, including Yada, an online app that gives users prizes for saving money. The shutdown left Yada unable to verify and process transactions for users. People like Carl, who let ABC 15 know about his experience, writing, "I was supposed to get my paycheck last week and I haven't gotten it yet. I also can't access my own money or withdraw it. I'm struggling right now financially because of this." In an email to consumers, Yada states there's no access to funds or the ability to move money in any capacity, emphasizing it's due to Synapse's outage. According to Yada's website, a Chapter 11 trustee has been appointed to the Synapse case, but an update isn't expected until later this week. So the big question, how could this happen? For years, traditional bankers and consumer advocates have criticized the fintech model. Fintech companies, while they partner with banks, are not banks themselves. They're not regulated by the Federal Reserve and not eligible for FDIC backing, leaving consumers' finances at risk. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. In 2015, hundreds of thousands of customers of Rush Card, a prepaid debit card company, were frozen out of their funds after a botched software update. The company was fined $13 million by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. If you've been impacted and need to file a complaint or want to weigh in on potential regulations, go online.
Aren't you really glad that we're just careening towards everything digital, all money digital, aren't you? Because cash, who needs it? Top economist predicts crash of a lifetime worse than 2008 recession. Worse than the 1929 depression. Harry Dent, we're going for it. We're heading there. I did that. And I will play a little bit of JWTV's video. The link is in the chat, but right here, very interesting. Well, look, I've posted videos years ago on how they were putting sensors in everything. In everything. You think there aren't sensors in new clothing that you're buying? New underwear that you're buying? You think there aren't sensors in the products that you buy in a supermarket? You think there aren't sensors in that car that you drove out, you know, new from a dealership? You think there aren't sensors in medications that you pick up at the pharmacy? There are. There are. And nanotechnology is in everything. Everything. Nanobots, nanobot sensors, the GPSs, they know the location of those products. Drugs. And I've posted videos on how electromagnetic frequencies can increase the dosage that you take or decrease the dosage. So you're taking a medication with a specific dosage, and then suddenly you feel like it's not working. Maybe it's working a little bit too much. Electromagnetic frequencies. This is the world that we are living in. So when I hear someone like JWTV who is talking about this, good.
And we told you that the lights and stuff like that, the purple lights has different light frequencies that they can activate. What apparently DARPA wants to shine near infrared light into people's brain to activate and deactivate drugs into their bodies. If you look at this, they had this thing where they're talking about tunable metasurface filters.
Sorry.
Could give future drones smart infrared crop monitoring powers. So all you would need is simply a drone, the infrared light on it, to go by, deactivate, activate whenever you wanted certain drugs to activate into people's bodies who apparently are susceptible to this process. So the lights, when we talk about that, we talk about the purple lights and stuff in the street. This was no different than nanobots. I looked at it, it said red, it was a green light, and then it was a red light, which ended up, I believe, making the purple light. It was able to move nanobots and stuff like that without any basically interaction from nothing else except for the light. If they're doing that, this next whole half of the pandemic, which is basically coming out right now, is an RNA virus that's lurking inside of people. That's a human, that's inside of a parasite. So there's an RNA virus inside of a parasite. And it says a new RNA virus is discovered hitching a ride with a common human parasite. Meaning, somehow, which this thing is common between cats and animals, so then it can transfer to humans from animals, and they can get both of us in this process. Remember, prayer is powerful. Even the scientists came out and said, well, we've seen these reactions from people that basically we see their heart rate decrease, their blood decrease, and all this stuff decrease when they just use prayer, because we actually got to get back to stop being fearful and do what we need to do. But these lights, anyway, it's very important to understand how they interact. And not just that, I looked deeper into it, and you go down and you find out a little bit more about how Johns Hopkins engineered tiny little machines that can get in your GI tract. This is what they look like on screen right here. And so guess what they're modeled off of? A freaking parasite. So we don't know right now if this parasite, that this new virus is coming from, this RNA virus, which is most likely how everything is going to begin. Everything is going to all settle and it's going to come back to something about this process that we're talking about right now. That's why this is so important. We're going to get deeper into it. What is these things modeled off of? And specifically, where they, like, here it is right here. It says, inspired by a parasitic worm that digs its sharp teeth into a host's intestines, Johns Hopkins researchers designed tiny star-shaped micro devices that can latch into intestinal mucosa, which is obviously the mucosal membrane of the stomach, the first layer, obviously, before you get into the gut, and release drugs into the body. So they can release drugs into the body as well. Professor in Johns Hopkins University School of Engineering, Johns Hopkins Gastrointestinal, whatever you say, director of Johns Hopkins Inflammatory Bowel Disease Center, led a team of researchers and biomedical engineers that designed, tested shape-changing microdevices and mimicked the way parasitic hookworms affixes itself in the organ's intestines, made of metal and thin shape-changing film coated in a heat-sensitive paraffin wax. Their grippers, each roughly the size of the dust speck, potentially can carry any drug and release it gradually into the body. So this is their engineering of these events, if you understand what I'm saying. So moving further, like, we're talking about RNA virus that they basically could potentially be the engineered parasite. Doesn't even have to be an actual parasite that they're saying it is. And moving further in that is, like, what's the defense mechanism? We can try to get to all that in a few. That's why this year is going to be so important, because I was telling you, most of the stuff happens from starting with a parasite. It's controlling, like if you have these undesirable cravings for something sugary, you have these undesirable cravings that you just can't stop. If you crave anything to the point to where you're out of control, then you probably need to try to relieve yourself of a parasite. Let's read a little bit more into this RNA thing really quick.
Link is in the chat. Damn, there is so much going on, man, that it is hard to point at one particular thing. All right, so executive order? Really? Did he, Biden? Oh, pomp and circumstance. Oh, press are all around. Oh, I signed this executive order, you know, to bring control to the border. And yeah. Don't Americans know that everything now coming out of Biden's mouth, especially, is just an outright lie? Mayorkas, outright lie. All of them, outright lies. Don't Americans realize that at this point? The executive order has done nothing. Nothing. Did I say nothing? Let me say nothing. They're still coming across the border.
With the confusion at the U.S.-Mexico border here in San Diego after President Biden's executive order. Tonight, we are learning about an internal memo sent within the San Diego sector of the Border Patrol showing that migrants are still being processed. Tonight, our Zara Barker breaks down this memo.
In a memo obtained by Fox News, it shows that migrants are still being processed and released in the San Diego sector. Here behind me near the San Ysidro Port of Entry, it's a common place where migrants wait to be processed. And you can see there's at least a dozen of them waiting for Border Patrol agents. All of this happening despite President Joe Biden's recent executive order. President Joe Biden's executive order announced last week closes the border between ports of entry when illegal immigration hits above 2,500 people a day. But Fox News obtained this internal Border Patrol memo sent after the order took effect, telling agents in the San Diego sector to process people from all but 6 countries in the Eastern Hemisphere.
There's only about 6 countries that we should not allow or process migrants from. But leaving hundreds of other countries.
This memo not mentioning the protocol on the order and seemingly showing asylum seekers are still being processed and released in San Diego despite the order. Desmond says he hasn't seen any change at the border and says within a few days of the order, the San Diego sector had 1,300 contacts, accounting for more than half of the nation's allotted number.
So if we're getting 1,300 and his max is 2,500, I just don't see any sort of restrictions. And with that memo, you would think there would have been some sort of a mention of a cap.
Just about a day after the order went into effect, our camera crew showed migrants still being processed near San Ysidro. And at the same time, Pedro Rios, director of American Friends Service Committee, says he doesn't agree with the order, but also hadn't seen any change yet.
Not seen any real significant changes in what is happening here on the ground. There are migrants that are coming. Border Patrol is telling them to wait in certain locations. They wait for a few hours, and then they get picked up and will be taken for processing. That's usually...
It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. So, the memo instructs agents to process all single adults from 100 plus countries in the Eastern Hemisphere as NTA or OR, which means notice to appear, NTA, OR, release on own recognizance, recognizance, except for 6 countries which are deemed mandatory referral countries: Uzbekistan, Russia, Tajikistan, Georgia, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan. Biden and Department of Homeland Security promised consequences and removal for those who crossed illegally between ports of entry after the executive order took effect. But the overwhelming majority of illegal crossers in San Diego sector, including the Chinese, Middle Eastern, and African adults, most military-aged men, are still being released into the U.S. with future court dates, as our coverage has shown repeatedly with Border Patrol mass releases at a trolley station in San Diego. I showed just a couple of nights ago they crossing the border in Arizona, Sassby, Arizona, is that how? Can't remember. If that's how you pronounce it. And it has not done a thing. There's a backlog of migrants still coming through the Panama Canal, coming through the Central American and South American states, Mexico. Actually, of all of the migrants coming across the border, the least are Mexicans. I think Mexicans now get that this is a country that you don't want to be stuck in. This is the memo. I'll link below if you want to check it out. Yeah, man. NATO is doing with Russia is like Russia setting up shop in Mexico. Would we tolerate that? Well, if this is actually accurate, I guess so. Russians on Kremlin State TV yesterday declared that Mexico was their military ally, and they are wanting to place their missiles on Mexican territory so Mexico can attack the United States. This is insane. You think? Okay. I have no idea why this is not getting mainstream media coverage, but the Russians on Kremlin State TV declared that Mexico was their military ally. What are we living today? But yeah, there's not a lot of nations that love us. I suppose Israel loves us. You can't say that the Brits or the Scots or the Irish love us, but the UK government for sure does. We are no longer the people that are just exceptional and morally superior. The programming of others in their countries has just faded. You know, people used to look at Americans as if they were something. Now they just look at Americans as fat, lazy, loud, and violent. Ukraine claims first ever fighter jet strike on Russian territory, raises the likelihood that a Western supplied missile was used in the attack. What did Putin say just a few days ago? Don't be using those U.S. weapons or the U.K. weapons to target inside Russia. I mean, when you see these kinds of headlines, especially this, you know that things are kind of heating up. And U.S.-backed Ukrainian publication releases new enemies list, including Donald Trump, Ron Paul Institute, hundreds more. This is who we support. Ukraine, Zelensky, they have a kill list, and this is an enemies list. And I'm going to read some of this. U.S. government-affiliated Ukrainian web publication Data Journalism Agency, Texty, has just released a report attacking hundreds of prominent American individuals and organizations as enemies for not supporting sending more U.S. money and weapons to Ukraine. The report, titled Roller Coaster from Trumpist to Communist, the Forces in the U.S. Impeding aid to Ukraine and how they do it, intends to smear American politicians, journalists, social media influencers as tools of Russia, writing, most of the people in our study do not have direct, proven ties to the Russian government or propagandists. However, the arguments they use to urge authorities to distance themselves from Ukraine echo key messages of Russian propaganda aimed at depriving Ukrainians of the ability to defend themselves with Western weapons and funds. Now, if I was somebody and not a nobody, I'd be on that list. Although the enemies list purports to correct disinformation about Ukraine spread by those on its list, the report itself is full of crude disinformation. For example, this. Even long debunked myths continue to surface, such as claims of Nazi dominance and American biolabs in Ukraine, and the portrayal of the 2014 Revolution of Dignity as a coup. So they're still going on this. Okay, well, the organization's assertion that these claims are long debunked may be wishful thinking, but back on Planet Reality, even mainstream pro-Ukraine media sites in the U.S. wring their hands over the disturbing extremist images coming out of the country. For example, NBC News wrote that, quote, Ukraine's Nazi problem is real, even if Putin's denazification claim isn't. Newsweek wondered, quote, why have so many neo-Nazis rallied to Ukraine's cause, unquote. Even before the current conflict, mainstream pro-Ukraine publications such as Reuters worried in 2018 about, quote, Ukraine's neo-Nazi problem. But it's, according to this report, it's crude disinformation. It's just a lie. As to the biolabs, none other than Mother of the Maiden Victoria Nuland admitted in a U.S. Senate hearing that there were biolabs in Ukraine. But one may counter that these were not American biolabs. No, they are. I've even posted on them. There's a lot of them. And their experiments I've posted on, making locals and communities very sick, frothing at the mouth, dying. But there are no biolabs there. In fact, with the authenticity of Hunter Biden's infamous laptop now absolutely confirmed during his trial, a report by the New York Post 2 years ago based on the laptop also must be considered accurate. According to the article, quote, Russia's assertion that President Biden's son Hunter was financing biological laboratories in Ukraine was based in truth, according to emails reviewed by the Post. And on whether the maiden events of 2014 were a revolution of dignity or a coup, we again only need to turn to Victoria Nuland's infamous phone call with U.S. Ambassador to Kiev, Jeffrey Pyatt, for all the evidence needed that the U.S. was micromanaging the removal of an elected leader and replacing him with hand-picked U.S. puppets. The report also includes people like Senator J.D. Vance, Senator Rand Paul, Rep. Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan, and Colonel Douglas Macgregor. Anti-war, and your own correspondent here. This is Ron Paul Institute. So even Ron Paul Institute and Daniel McAdams. 391 individuals and 76 organizations. They just don't want war. They don't want the billions going over to Ukraine. They might think, hey, this is kind of a danger zone, and why should we irritate Russia? But no, you're on an enemies list. But what really is shocking about this attack on American citizens is the fact that the Data Journalism Agency, TXT, has a long affiliation with the U.S. government itself. In fact, the founder of the publication, Anatoly Bondarenko, appears prominently on a U.S. government website as a participant in the U.S. State Department's Tech Camp project. Ukrainians seemingly love to make lists of their enemies. One of their most notorious of these is the infamous kill list put out by the Mirat Vorets Center in Kiev. From that list, several have already been murdered, including a prominent Russian journalist. But rah-rah, hang your Ukrainian flag. And a military plane carrying Malawi's vice president has gone missing, and a search is underway. Whenever I see this kind of stuff, my first thought is, oh God, what has our government done again?
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center following some breaking news. A military plane carrying Malawi's vice president, and 9 others has gone missing. It went off the radar. A search is underway right now. Malawi is a country in East Africa. The vice president was on that plane along with 9 other people. Aviation authorities say they lost contact with the plane when it went off radar. It failed to make its scheduled landing at an airport. The president of Malawi has ordered a search operation, and he has canceled a planned trip to the Bahamas.
It's a very dangerous world. Let me just play the first couple of minutes of this, and then I'll put the link in if you want to hear. Look, you know, governments are criminal organizations. Criminal organizations. You get it, right? Criminal organizations. They're so profoundly corrupt. Why? Because the people in them are corrupt. And the stench is getting really sickening. No matter where you are in the world. Man, oh man. Why can't the people come together and get rid of these people?
America's dead. Everyone's favorite Nazi.
Literally, we're not exaggerating. Actually,
literally Nazi. Shady dealings with Russian firm amid EU sanctions. So suddenly, now von der Leyen's here is able to circumvent the EU's own sanctions with a Russian steel company just because you can. I guess. This is pure corruption is when the hypocrisy is so blatant that you just can't deny it.
Like the Nancy Pelosi insider trading shit where you're just like, wait, so that's just happening and nothing's being done about it, and she's just kind of like smiling and laughing and drunk all over the place?
Yeah,
Wow.
these people are on like Xanax or something. It's like, so German journalists have recently unveiled a corruption scandal involving the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. According to the investigation, von der Leyen allegedly used her influence to help Russian company Krasnil Akbar, I can't pronounce that, evade the sanctions imposed by the European Union after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The scandal comes less than 2 weeks before the European Parliament elections, casting a shadow over the most prominent members of the European Parliament. Ursula von der Leyen's career has been marred by numerous scandals, such as the Budweiser scandal and Pfizergate, of course. And this new report, this is a German journalist. We'll watch that in a second. Basically, in the spring of 2022, the first few months of the Russian invasion, EU adopted sanctions on Russia. The fourth package of sanctions was to ban steel imports. And so, according to an interview with the director of the plant, we will deliver European orders production up until the beginning of May 2022. We were entitled to supply the EU until May. However, in 2023, they became a participant in the 13th International Mining and Metallurgy Congress in Astana, Kazakhstan, and another participant of the Congress was a steel giant ArcelorMittal, which...
All right, I'll put the link in again. You can listen to this, but man, are these people so corrupt, and it's in our face, and that's what's upsetting. It's obvious. It's obvious that our governments, our military, no, I'm sorry, for Americans, we're not exceptional. For Americans, there is no moral superiority. Please, if you still have that delusion, think about it, okay? But especially the Western governments, you know, do we need to put away our insignificant, trivial disagreements with everybody that literally just rips apart relationships? Yeah. Yeah. Will people know how to do that? Will they be wise and mature enough to do that? I don't have much hope. But what we can do is help one another in our communities, because an awful lot of people need help. So pick up extra food for your food pantries in your community. Pick up extra pet food for your animal shelters that are overloaded all over the country. Overloaded. People are dropping off their pets at animal shelters left and right. They need help. And, yeah, do the work necessary so that you can live honestly and speak honestly. Develop yourself as a trustworthy human being. Look at your behavior. Is it inconsistent? Are you this one day and that another day? And are you spouting bullshit? You know, you've got to face the mirror. We've got to, you know, look squarely at our own self, because when we don't, we're part of the problem. We're not part of the solution. So, on that note, thank you for showing up. Be safe out there. Acute awareness all the time whenever you're out and about. Protect your children. Circulate the information that's important. And on that note, thank you for showing up, and I hope to see you tomorrow night. And, yeah, good night and good luck. Ciao. I tried to have some energy tonight. I think I was successful, maybe. I don't know. You let me know. Ciao, guys.